Okay. And it should be live now. Should be live. Not sure why there's a commercial first. Huh, that's weird. So a commercial came on before this came on. All right. Light this candle while I wait for the chat thing to pop back up. I'm gonna wait for responses in the chat before I start reading. Hey, the evil satire. Hello, Lord Duchess. Hello, the evil satire. Is that the evil outcast that just changed, or are you a totally different person? Biznitch, hey, Schmeister. Yeah, I saw that. Mr. Hell Freezer's live too. Oh, great. No competition there, eh? Oh my goodness. So Schmeister, hey, you're one of my patrons. Hey, husband. Hello. Sorry, I started eating a chip and totally forgot there was a microphone right by my mouth. I am so sorry. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are here. I just lit a candle when I got on here, and as I said hi, and it lit the little flame on the match, like something fell off of it, and I thought I burnt myself or my pants. The evil satyr. Oh, do you have a channel? I have a habit here. If you have a channel, let me know so the other people here can go check out your channel. If you have any content, let us know. Enjoy your potato chip. Yeah, I just realized I can't munch on those while I'm on the live stream because it would destroy your ears. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just cleaning up here really quickly and got distracted and then didn't have time to eat lunch or anything. So, which is pretty much how it goes when I get distracted. Yeah, so today, I meant satires. All right. I did post this all over the place. And Schmeister, check your email at Patreon because part of the announcement here is I am shutting down my Patreon project. So I'm going to refund all of my patrons as promised. I just feel like I've been trying to do it for a long time and feel like I'm just spinning my wheels and it's adding stress when it should be adding joy and hopefulness. And, everyone was complaining about how they're not making money on YouTube and how YouTube hates the horror community. So I thought, why not try to create something else? And the whole time I've been trying, and it doesn't seem like anyone really cares, So, I mean, obviously the patrons care enough to come and listen. And there's quite a few people there that were like followers but weren't patrons that believe in it too. And that's really thoughtful. But it costs so much money to create a site. I really needed more people involved, collectively, consistently contributing content. And people just didn't have the time or they just didn't care. And a lot of people spat a lot of negativity at me. Like I was trying to do something like that wasn't on the up and up. So the channel will still be here and I'll still keep up the Patreon too. I'm just not going to create Patreon exclusive content anymore. And it's going to be free for everyone. So anybody that paid money, like Schmeister, I know you paid at least $1, if not more. I know that you contributed, so you will get a refund. I can't figure out how to refund. Like there's some people that have been a patron for a long time. It only shows me like the last 3 months of how to refund that. So I emailed their customer support. So I'm waiting for them to get back to me on that. So what happened? What's going on? Can you guys hear me? I can't tell. Can you guys hear me? Oh. I mean, I'm sad about it because it makes me feel like I tried to do something that was good, not just for me, but for everybody. And it just seems like I was like, I don't know. So now I'm gonna focus more on my own content and my own life and my own stuff. So it's sad, but it's not because that's gonna allow me to grow as a creator. I mean, there's other stuff I want to do too besides just horror. I have a whole nother channel that I started before I even started this that I put on the back burner that I was still I want to make content for that every once in a while, at least weekly. So I have that. Um, but that'll allow me to do the other stuff that I wanted to do here. Like I want to do urbex here. I want to do paranormal explorations. I want to do movie reviews, and I still want to do narration. So I want to do all kinds of stuff here. And I feel like I was always worried about making sure that Patreon got content, and I didn't always come through because I wanted something that was original, that was good. You know, I felt like the quality had to be much better too, because you weren't getting a visual, you were just getting audio. So so I'm sad, but it's a little bit of relief. So everyone will get their money back. I'm just not sure how long it'll take. It says 5 to 7 days, but I can only go back like 3 months, I guess. So anyways, just want to let anybody that was a Patreon or a patron know that. So let's see. What else? What else? I do have some stories picked up for us today. This one I have not read, so if you've heard them, they weren't from me. Oh, there goes my voice already. It is in Michigan today. It is mother lovin' hot. Feels like it's 90 with like 150% humidity. And if you know anything about me, I can't even be outside in that. I did go to the store because I needed something from the store today. Whew. But I went from the air in my car to the air in the store, back to the air in the car, back to the air in the house. And just the little bit that I was out, it's so hard to breathe. Like it feels like there's no oxygen. I don't know how to explain it other than that, and it's awful. I mean, you can just be sitting there and feel like you were just running a marathon. I can't handle that. Yeah, but there's some people that really contributed quite a bit. My husband is a plumber, and he's outside in this, and really not sure how you can keep going in that. There's not enough water in the world that can get you through this day. Time to come home. Okay. No, Schmeister, you're getting a refund. I mean, you ride 2 hours to work and 2 hours back. Pff, hell yeah. Biddy says I'm very pale, blonde, and just burn, never tan. I mean, when I was a kid, every mom and every grandma and every girl wanted to tan. Like there was no even grazing thought of skin cancer. And now it's like I'll put on sunscreen and still get brown. Like not even intentionally. But my nose, it seems like my nose will always get it. So I'll always make sure I put extra something on my nose. Seems like it's super, super Well, it's time to take a break and listen to your wife entertain people. Okay, let me see here. I picked out this is, and I don't know, my voice is, I was explaining the humidity because my voice just talking is like, whoo. And it's just I'm not sick. It's just the weather is really screwing with me. So awesome. And I'm just having one of those days where everything feels like eh. I mean, I'm lucky to be inside. I'm lucky. I'm not ungrateful for my life or anything, but whew. 10 years? Oh my God, 10 years of 2 hours there and back. Oh my God. You have the patience of a saint. I could not do it. I mean, it must be a really, really good job that you really, really like, or it's like it's just how it is. Or it's, you know what I mean? That's just what you like to do and that's what you do. And wow, that's crazy. Wow. I'm I'm applauding for you because that's patience of a saint, man. Patience of a saint. I was gonna share this somewhere. I can't remember where I was gonna share it. Pinterest maybe? Pinterest is a really good source if you have something to share. Let's see. Noted, it's not the same job. I tried many jobs over the years. So do you live in like a remote area where the good jobs are 2 hours away? And it's just like the cost of living is cheaper where you're at. So that's what you do. Yeah, I know you're not the only one that does that, but it's still, I don't know. Wow. 2 hours. Now, do you have to like take like a bus and then wait for a train or vice versa? Or is it just like you get on one thing and that's what you take like a train or a bus and that's straight 2 hours? Man, I applaud it. That's wow. Um, damn gypsy. Haiku. I don't know why I said it like that. Hmm. All right, football master, you take a break and just listen for a minute. It's too hot out there to keep working like that. It's already 2:12, so you should be home in like an hour. All right, so I've got excuse me, I'm sorry. So you guys know in advance my voice is just going to go in and out, and that's just because of the weather. So that's why I was sharing that with you. Um, there's an ad on this thing I'm getting ready to read for a American Horror Story Apocalypse. Has anybody followed that? I'm really excited for that. I loved last season's Cult. I think there's only like 9 or 10 episodes, but they were scary as hell, and I loved them. Loved them. 2 buses and a lot of Shoelace Express. Hey, football master, people are saying hi to you, man. He might have ducked back out, you guys. So, let me see here. I'll come back and check that. Each story, I like have to go to a new page, so I'll check the chat after each one. So, this is supposed to be. I thought it was 17. Oh yeah, 17 scary stories. So we'll see. Here we go. I was driving home from work at 2 a.m. Someone says at the beginning here, I thought this was an urban legend, but it's a true story. So, driving home from work at 2 a.m. I'm a nurse and I live in a small city. The roads were totally deserted, and it was a freezing cold night. I don't live far from work, maybe a couple of miles. So I'm driving down a residential street around the corner from my house, and I see a man laying face down in the street. Now remember, I'm a nurse. My first thought is, great, I gotta help this guy up. I was coming off a long shift, and falls happen all the time. As I slowed down the car, I suddenly realized what an idiot move that was. I'm an 100-pound woman, and I don't carry any weapons. I thought I should do something to help the guy, so I called 911 as I drove past him and slowed to a stop at the end of the block. While I was stopped at the light, I explained to the dispatcher that there was a man on the road who might need assistance. And that's when I hear a loud bang from the driver's side window. And I screamed to look over, and a man was pounding on my window and jiggling the handle of my locked car door. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw that there was no man lying in the street anymore. While I was on the phone with the 911 dispatcher, I screamed that I was so scared. The dispatcher told me, no, I told the dispatcher, and I floored it through the red light. I quickly told him what happened, and even though I was right by my house, he told me to keep driving. After a few minutes, I had calmed down, and he told me to loop back around. So I pulled over down the road from my house and stayed in the car. I didn't see the man anywhere, so I got off the phone with the dispatcher who told me he was sending a police car to cruise the area. As I gather up my things and do a final scan of the area, I see the man, and he's walking with 2 other men. I hunched way down in my car until they were far down the road. Then I bolted into my house. Holy crap. Now I know that's another something almost happened stories, but holy shit. That's scary. Shoelace Express is what? Walking? Is that what that means? Sorry, I'm a ding-dong today. I'm ding-dong most days, but is that what that means? I'm seeing like... Okay, I'll come back and check that in a minute. All right, so this one is called The Butcher Knife Lady. Still checking the chat. Goddess of all that is dark, spooky, and creepy crawly. Yikes. So you would... Well, you've walked... Okay, so if you're riding in a vehicle and it's 2 hours, how the hell would you ever get there on foot? That's crazy to me. I mean, crazy and it seems completely unfair. And yeah, I know life isn't fair, but man. This one's called The Butcher Knife Lady. When I was really little, my parents would let me stay up late on the weekends and watch TV until I fell asleep. I really loved these times, and I would stay up later than anybody else just because I could. Well, one night I was almost asleep on the couch when I heard a noise on our front porch. It was the sound of our old-fashioned porch swing moving back and forth. I was a little scared, so I crept toward the bay windows from my living room and peeked out toward the porch. Sitting on my front porch swing was an older woman, probably in her 50s, wearing nothing but a nightgown, covered in blood, and holding a huge kitchen knife. I flipped out immediately and ran screaming into my parents' room, but was too terrified to form words. My parents saw that I was upset, but when I finally was able to tell them what I saw, my dad got really angry and told me that it was just a dream and to go back to bed. I refused and kept crying and screaming until he had had enough and snatched my arm and dragged me toward the front door to prove that nothing was there. I kicked and screamed the whole way, trying to make him stop, but he kept pulling me. Finally, we got to the door. He unlocked it, swung it open, and said, "See, there's nothing that..." To this day, I have never seen the look of fear and shock that was on his face when that woman turned and stared at both of us slowly and stood up with a knife. My dad slammed the door shut and got my mom to call the police while he went and got his gun. He went back to the door with a 12 gauge and cracked the door enough to stick the barrel out. He asked her what she was doing, and she said, "Somebody killed my husband, but it wasn't me." My dad told her that the police were coming, and she freaked out, grabbed the knife, and walked away. The police found her 15 minutes later trying to break into one of our neighbors' houses. I never slept in the living room again. Wow. I mean, that's scary, but that's awesome. An hour of bus and 45 of walking on my first job. What? Holy shit. 45 minutes. I'm trying to think of, at a reasonably paced, that's what? If you were walking really fast, you could get like almost 3 miles, but that's still quite a bit. An hour of bus and 45 minutes of walking on my first job. Ooh. The heel to toe express. Like, I know, like, people that live in New York, because it's a big city, probably do that all the time. But I mean, does it take them 2 hours to walk? Holy crap. I mean, maybe, because the cost of living there is outrageous. So they probably don't want to take a cab, or even having a parking spot in New York would be kind of insane. But whew. Ha! Biddy, you said the same thing that I was thinking. Yeah. Meh, I learned to speed walk. Hopefully you had some really, really good shoes too, because that would get rough on the feet. And the whole body, really. Mental toll, the whole shebang. We are going on to, looks like 3 and 4. Okay. So this happened to a friend of mine. It was about 1 a.m. and he heard a noise outside his front door. His front yard is really dark, so he looked through the peephole rather than going and opening the door. He couldn't see anything, but could tell something was below the peephole. He decided to open the door slowly, and as soon as he did, an older lady whose face was covered in blood and only wearing a t-shirt, no underwear or pants, tried to run into his house. He slammed the door on her and called the cops. While waiting for the cops, he kept looking at the little hole in the door, and every so often, she would scurry back and forth on his front lawn. I wasn't there, but I picture it like an alien at the birthday party in Signs. So the cops finally show up and detain the woman, and they get to the bottom of the story. It turns out the woman was his neighbor, and she was extremely drunk. She had been drinking and locked herself out of her house. Tried to get back in by breaking the window with her face and hands. Oh my God. I can definitely say I've never done that. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you get a raise, dude. Jesus. Hilly terrain on top of it. Whoa. Oh my God. Okay. Next, this is number 4, I think. It's titled "They Had to Bury Her Quick." So this should be gross or weird. I don't know. My family has lived in rural Nebraska since they immigrated from Germany in the mid 1800s. Near the turn of the century, disease was pretty rampant in the homesteading area, and it killed off members of almost every family. When someone died from illness, time was of the essence in burying them, as not to let the virus spread from the diseased to the living. This meant no wake periods. So an aunt of some unknown number of greats preceding her relationship to me dies of some disease and gets buried in the family cemetery on the homestead. The dogs were very fond of her, so it wasn't too surprising that after the funeral, the 2 dogs stuck near the grave. The rest of the family began to think something of it when a week and a half later, the dogs were still visiting her grave almost constantly. But they weren't just at the grave. They were visibly distressed, frantic, and often barking while there. This goes on for maybe 2 weeks when the family decides to check it out. They dig the casket up and open it. The deceased's hair had all been pulled out. Her fingers raw and bloody and mangled from where on the inside of the casket door they can see deep scratches in the wood. She had been comatose when they buried her and came to while underground, spending probably her last 5 or so days alive in a buried casket. Oh my God. Wow. That's terrifying. Better put a bell by me. Biddy, just when I thought it couldn't get any worse. No shit. Everyone hit like. Hey, no. Okay, you guys. I'm going to move the microphone away from my mouth while I eat another chip. I'm eating the sour cream and onion stacks. I think the death belt, I'd have to look it up, but I think that was in existence way before that too. So I'm surprised that they still didn't have that as a regular practice, I mean. Yeah, that probably is one of my innate fears. It's like parallel to drowning, just slowly running out of oxygen and panicking and not being able to. Sorry, Biznitch. I'm hungry. It's one of those days. Hello, Jerry. Hello. Hello. We are reading 17 stories, and I think I just got done with number 4. And this is going to be, I think this is 5 and 6. I mean, they're not numbered, so I'm going to lose track of what number we're on, but also I explained a little bit earlier that the weather's messing with my voice, so it's going in and out because the weather is like it's insanely hot here and insanely humid. And that's just what's going to happen to my voice now, so I'm sorry. This one's titled Simon Says Run. So when I was about 7 years old, I went on a walk with my babysitter. We were walking back a mile or so to my house on a fairly busy road, and about halfway there, she says we should play Simon Says. At first, we walk faster, then skip, then jog slightly, and then she says, Simon Says run as fast as you can. Simon Says turn here. I was slightly confused, but playing along. As we turned down the driveway, I looked back and saw two guys chasing after us, one with a bat and the other with a knife. We ran up to the house. We ran up to a house, and some old people living there let us in, thankfully. At the time, I didn't grasp how fucked up it was that we were getting chased, and I still have no clue why they were. What? So at least these are a little bit like scarier, almost happened events. Whew. Fun fact, there are types of Japanese Buddhist monks that bury themselves and undergo a process of self-mummification. Oh. Like my grandpa said, if you're meant to drown, you won't burn. Oh my God. That's a hell of a saying. Hello, Roger Hensley. Apparently, dying deliriously helps achieve enlightenment. Maybe that's what enlightenment is, man. No, I'm just joking. I really do believe in the higher powers and enlightenment, but that's not where we're at right now mentally. So we're going to continue on this. This one's called The Lights. Oh, I guess there's an even third story on this page. So this one's like 2 sentences long. And it's just titled The Lights, and it says, I've noticed that almost anytime I'm walking alone at night through my town, street lights turn off as I pass them. Not all of them, but enough to make me think something wants me to be in the dark. Okay, so that leads me to talk about my video I posted yesterday. That happens to me, like if I'm out and I come back home and it's dark enough for the streetlight to be on, that happens to me all the time. Or I'll just happen to look outside at any random time of the night and the streetlight will turn on. The streetlight is right at the end of our driveway. As a matter of fact, Saturday when we went to head out the first time and the sky turned black, it was so dark that the streetlight turned on in the middle. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon here. So confusing. Totally different conversation, but it's just the slightest bit creepy in the dark. Oh, so this one's titled, They Didn't Know I Understood Spanish. About a year ago in my final semester in college, I worked at a department store in the mall. I didn't have a car yet, so I asked for day shifts because it was a 2-hour bus ride back home. So basically, if I had a closing shift, I'd get done at 11, but not get home until 1 a.m. But sometimes I'd be given closing shifts, much to my annoyance, since I had a 6:45 a.m. class on my mother's worry, because who wants their kids on a public transport that late? Sometimes she could come and get me, but it'd be too much of a hassle to get my younger brothers and sister out that late, so I never asked her. My managers, being the jerks that they were, gave me a week of closing shifts, knowing my situation. I was pissed, but whatever. So one night I had just finished my shift, got on the bus, I sat in the back, and was minding my own business when my iPod died. I was annoyed, but I just kept my earbuds in and occupied myself by playing crossword on my phone. About 2 seats behind me, I hear these guys speaking Spanish. Now, my stepmother is Puerto Rican, so while I understand a fair bit of Spanish, I don't speak it. So I hear them talking, but I don't pay attention because it's rude to eavesdrop, right? Until they say, that black girl up there, and my ears perk up. I keep my earbuds in so that they think that I can't hear them, and I continue listening. What they're saying is horrific. To paraphrase, they knew my stop, second to last one before the bus gets back to the terminal, and while my stop is at the front of my neighborhood, it's got no streetlights, and at this time of night empty. And to put it simply, they were planning on snatching that piece of ass up. I was about 20 minutes away from home, so I knew I had to act quickly. Since I knew they could see me, they were 2 seats behind me, but if I, across, if that makes sense, I pretended to play on my phone, oblivious while I was actually texting my mom. Mom, can you please meet me at the bus stop? 5 minutes go by. No answer. Getting closer to my stop. So I decide to call her. No answer. I call the house phone and finally she answers. It's about 12:30 a.m., so she was asleep. I try to talk as cheerily and calmly as I can. This was our conversation. Hey, Mom, did you get my text? No, what's up? Oh, I sent you a picture of these jeans I'm really going to order online when I get home. I really need your opinion, so I really need you to go look because the sale ends at 1 a.m. She gets the hint that I need her to look at herself, so I say goodbye and hope for the best. When we get to my stop, I see my mom's car. I snatch my shit up and hightail it off the bus. I don't even look behind me to see if they're following. I jump in the car and tell my mom to just go. I look in the rear view and I see the guys staring at the car. The next morning, I called my job and told them I quit. No more public transport for me. Thanks to my stepmom for speaking Spanish. And thanks to my mom for getting the hint. And weird Spanish speaking guys, let's not meet again. Oh, snuck in some Reddit stories there, I see. That's all right. Checking the chat. Sometimes it updates and sometimes it doesn't. Making sure this is actually working. Okay, everyone just me listening, I guess. Not typing anything. All right. I need a sippy. Oh, shit. Whew. There's no amount of tea or liquids that'll soothe this burning throat. This has been the worst allergy season ever. Enough complaining. At least I don't have to. Oh, I'm just thankful. Anyway, I don't think I need any more caffeine. I'm getting squirrel-brained. All right. Okay. This might be one story. I'm not sure. Let me scan down a second here. Yeah, this one's just got the one on this page. And it's titled Human Trafficking. So this should be awful. Belonging to previous live chat, but I finally got my salt charm. Awesome. That's awesome. Hey, Luke C. I saw that you did email a story. I didn't get a chance to read it yet. You need a beer? What time is it where you're at, damn gypsy? I thought about that too, but briefcase, hello. That's okay. We're only, I think, on story 7 of 17. Yeah. I like the taste of beer. I have noticed though that it makes my stomach upset. I think I like it with potato, I don't know. It's like that's perfect with salty snacks type of thing. I don't know. Why do they call it trafficking? I don't know. Maybe because of the motion of taking them. I don't know. Good question. Can dive into that. Let's get into the story. So my best friend at the time, same age as me, was my neighbor who lived with her mother and grandmother. Okay, you know what? I've heard this. This is where the mom meets some guy that lives out of town. Or he lives from another country and wants the mom and daughter to go with him, and the grandma doesn't want them to. I'm just going to save you this. And the guy said that she could go too with her best friend, And her parents were like, no way. And they knew that she would never be able to raise enough money to go, so she didn't ever get to go. So the mom and her best friend moved with this strange guy to another country. And she never saw her best friend again, and the grandma never saw her daughter or granddaughter again because they don't know what happened to them. They were never seen or heard from again. So I'll just spare you that whole page. Yeah. They don't even know what happened to them. They never found them. I've heard that story so many times. I'm sure you guys have too. The bitterness blends well, does it? It seems like that's an instant recipe for heartburn for me. Dark chocolate and beer. Oh God, that would feel so good today though. 2:35 here. Oh yeah, same time difference or same state too. I think. Damn Gypsy. Tomato juice, nice Coors Light. I really am liking Corona Light lately. I mean, but I haven't had a beer in weeks and weeks. I can't remember the last time I did. My go-to is probably a Bloody Mary, and I've had new Bloody Mary mix in the fridge for like 3 weeks and haven't touched that either. So I'm overdue, but I feel like where you're in like a mental state where you feel like you're fighting to stay positive. I don't know. I'm just in a funk, so I don't want anything to like drag it down. And alcohol is a depressant, in case you didn't know. So if you're feeling bad and you drink, you're going to feel worse because it has an after effect that lasts for days. So yeah. Grand Ledge. Oh. Yes, ale. Yes. Football Master W. Okay. Heineken. Not lager, but the darker beer. I don't remember what they call it. I don't know if it's called ale or what. Yeah. Haven't had one in years. Yeah. I'm so in a fun at work as well. In a funk, you mean? Yeah, I get it. The Germans agree. I had imported beer. Wait, I can see that. I had imported beer that was a chocolate beer. Oh my. I think I've had one of those too, and I couldn't really taste the chocolate. I don't know if it was just that brand or what. Thank you, Biznich. Traffic means to deal or trade something illegal, in this case, humans. Hey, Autumn, glad you could make it. I think we're on story 7 or 8. No, 7 was one we've all heard before, so we're skipping that one. This one is titled The Man and the Hatchet. So my stepmom, we're going to call her Macy, grew up as a kind of privileged teen in the 70s, and her mom had moved their family over here, the States, from England when she was about 9. She went to a pretty nice high school in a really nice town. There, she made friends with a girl named Lily, who didn't exactly run with Macy's type of crowd. Popular, stereotypical, etc. But they really hit it off, and Lily would take Macy out to do her type of stuff. Hiking, fishing, sailing. There's even a hilarious set of pictures of them camping. My stepmom has raccoon eyes and looks like she hates everything. Anyways, because of Lily's influence, the two of them would do stuff like that a good amount of time. One Sunday, they decided to go hike in some hills about an hour away. Macy put on what I'm sure were her extremely expensive hiking shoes, and the two of them drove off to the hiking trails. Lily parked in this big clearing with a makeshift parking spots, like a piece of wood marking the head of space, but there were no other cars there. This was only important in hindsight. So they start hiking up the hill, off the path, because Lily fancied herself something of a badass. The hike was nothing extraordinary. If you asked my stepmom, she would just lament for 15 minutes how sticky and buggy it was. Anyway, they reached the top of the hill, and my stepmom was done. The polished, pampered side of her was coming out, and she groaned until Lily begrudgingly said okay. They would rest, then walk down again and slower. They had been heading down the hill for maybe 10 minutes when Macy started bitching again. Lily conceded to walking down the side of the road instead of the rough hiking trail. So there they are, probably looking like a couple of tools geared up for hiking and walking down a crappy road. And after not even 5 minutes, a truck pulled up next to them. It was red and rusty and just generally looking like a clunker. The guy driving rolled down the window and the girls looked in through the passenger side window. He had a big beard, a baseball cap pulled down, and long brown hair. He greeted them and even smiled through his beard, asking if they needed a ride. Macy described him as charming and even cute. Lily still says the moment he greeted them, her hackles went up. Despite her better judgment, my stepmom convinced her to get in the truck. It must only be a 10-minute drive down to the car tops. The two girls opened the passenger's door to this rusty old thing, and the guy directed them behind the seat to get in the back. They settled in, and the truck started rumbling forward. Lily always says that this is the point it hit her what a mistake they had just made. The back seat was clean enough, but there was a rope on the floor behind the driver's seat and 4 boxes of saran wrap half hanging out from under the passenger seat. It seemed creepy and weird, but Lily didn't want to freak out my stepmom, so she just kept her mouth shut. After 10 minutes, the woods didn't look any clearer, and they hadn't seen another car the whole time. Lily asked how long he thought it would be. He said he was taking a different route down the hill and had to stop somewhere to get something first. And that was it. The girls were 16, 17, and Lily didn't want to press the issue. She was scared. She can remember his hair because she was sitting behind him. He looked like a woodsy guy, but his hair was super tangled and dirty. She noticed crusted mud on his collar and tried to find something unidentifiable about him, but just got scared the more she picked up on little details. He was youngish, strong-looking, and had about a foot on both of them, so they didn't ask any more questions, and he didn't offer any more information. They just continued to drive on. Several minutes after that, they reached a tiny shack, log cabin-looking place right there in the clearing of trees. There was an old stump where someone had been chopping wood, and a huge axe stuck into the log. Lily was definitely on red alert now. The guy turned off the truck and slipped out of it, saying, "I'll be right back. Don't get out." And he disappeared into the house. Oh, this can't be over. This has to be like a part 2 on the next page. Oh, checking the chat. I'll have to come back. Okay, so yeah, it's continued on the next page. I was going to say that can't end there. So Lily tried to talk to my stepmom about how she was incredibly uncomfortable, but she mostly just dismissed it. Lily started begging, increasingly freaked out, and finally put her foot down, demanding Macy exit the truck with her. So they got out and walked around to the front of the vehicle. The house was about 50 yards in front of them. Why this guy would have left 2 young girls in the truck alone while going into the house is beyond me. And they wandered around looking at it hesitantly. If this guy really was decent and just trying to give them a ride, it would be super rude if they just run off, right? So my stepmom had this strict upbringing when it came to manners and a public persona, and she saw it as an issue of that nature. So she actually started to head back to the truck, opening the front door to climb in behind the driver's seat. Lily was pissed off and followed her to yell some more. However, on the driver's side floor, half hidden under the seat, there was a big hatchet, with dried red-brown stains covering the blade and stuck to the floor under it. Lily understandably lost her shit, and seeing it, my stepmom started getting hysterical. They decided that leaving was by far their best option at this point, and just booked it off the side of the property into the trees. They bumbled around in the trees for a little while until Lily was fairly confident they were on their way back down the hill. My stepmom cried all the way down. Lily felt bad about it, but was also completely freaked out that he would hear it and kept trying to calm her down. When they finally got back down to the bottom and saw the old wooden fence that surrounded the original parking area, they were relieved. But as they got closer, they saw it. The truck. It was parked on the other side of the gravelly makeshift lot, just sitting there, facing the other way innocently. They couldn't see if anybody was in it, and of course Macy wanted to run for the car. But Lily was super hesitant. She managed to calm down my stepmom, saying she wanted to wait before running into the open, to see what was out there. Now remember, this is the 70s. No cell phones. There was no ranger station or anyone around. The parking lot was big and empty and open, and who knows what would have happened if they decided to stroll across it. Thankfully, Lily convinced my stepmom to chill, and the two of them hunkered down against a big tree, hidden by bushes and other trees, waited out for what seemed to be a couple of hours, when dark started to fall. All the animals started coming out and making noises, and my stepmom, predictably, started getting antsy about this and bothering Lily, who was tired and moments away from giving in. She was just planning their dash to the car when they heard a clunk. Across the twilight-lit lot, they watched as one of the back doors of their car swung open, and the bearded guy slid his way out of the back seat. Holy shit. He got out, shut the door, looked around at the surrounding woods for several moments, then walked back to his truck. The truck lumbered past their car and out of sight. Several minutes after watching him drive away, they sprinted to their car as fast as they could, jumped in and peeled out before they had even shut the doors. Oh! You know, it's funny. I was just talking to my husband and I were talking about there's nothing safer than going camping. And I told him, well, I've heard enough scary stories on YouTube to think the opposite of that. Oh, I'm gonna have to scroll up to see what you guys are talking about here. Let's see. Hey there. I want to try chocolate beer. I want to try one that's good that actually tastes like chocolate beer. I also have a IPA too. I guess traffic means to circulate or something. Have you tried the soda beers yet as a soda pop? I have. I've tried the root beer, and it didn't really. Everyone's like, oh, it's got so much alcohol. I really didn't feel that much. It gave me heartburn, so I knew there was alcohol in it. I mean, if I like something that I haven't tried before, I'm gonna brag about it. But Guinness, Guinness used to be my go-to, but it's a little bit strong for me. Don't prefer chocolate with beer, turkey and bacon sub. Turkey and bacon flavored beer would be interesting. There probably is bacon flavored beer. There has to be probably somewhere. Suppose it. Does anybody use herbal medication here? Does chili count? This lady does, not me. It's nice to get toasted and listen, but sadly I'm fresh out. Makes me hungry and I'm already fat. Yeah, ditto. It's hard not to smoke in the stressful world of today. Smoke cigs. Yeah, it depends on what it is. Like, besides the fact that, everybody else can have all this liquor, and last time I had to drink, I couldn't even finish it. My husband and I went out, I think it was last month. We went out to lunch or dinner or something, and I had a Bloody Mary. Or no, actually, it was the same restaurant. We had just went there 2 weeks in a row. And the first time we went there, I literally got this giant blue fishbowl looking drink. And I shit you not, it was not even a third gone. And I was like, I can't drink anymore. It's too big. It was too strong and too big. I couldn't even finish it. It's really obvious when I've had any alcohol too. My whole face gets red. Yeah, make sure you guys, whoever's here that's got a channel, the Evil Satyr says he has a channel. So make sure you check him out. Back to the stories. I'll be back in a second to chat with you guys. Also, Spooky Boo has a channel also. And I think a website and a podcast. I do have SoundCloud too, but it's all the same stuff. So Just trying to reach a broader audience. So, okay. This one is titled Australia's Backpacker Killers. So bear with me because I don't know if I've heard this before or not. So this happened a couple years ago when I was backpacking in Australia. So I traveled around driving a van like many backpackers there do. Saves a lot of money with accommodation. I usually slept in rest areas, gas stations, wherever I could park. This one night, I'd been driving for a few hours and started to feel sleepy. I decided then to stop in a rest area in the middle of nowhere. Parking in that location during the day could be a great idea, but at night, it seemed like a horror movie location. There were no cars parked there. I know I should park there where more people were around, but I was really drowsy. There were no lights whatsoever. I turned off the engine, closed the curtains of the van. It was not long before dawn that I heard some heavy knocking on the side of the van. Open up, it's the police. Nothing wakes you up faster than that. My heart was racing. I was just adjusting to the adrenaline rush in my system when they repeated the heavy knocking, saying it was the police. My first thought was that I parked somewhere I shouldn't, but then again, it was the middle of nowhere, and it was a rest area. Before opening up with my mind telling me that that situation was weird as fuck, I decided to go slowly to one of the windows and look through the gap in one of the curtains. I could clearly see the shape and shadow of a guy standing beside the van. His car wasn't too far, but it didn't have any lights or flashing lights on. This guy was definitely not a cop. Bringing up the courage I had left, I just shouted, "Get the fuck away! I have a gun and I'm calling the cops on the radio." Of course, I didn't have a radio or a gun, but that seemed to faze him. I saw him getting back in his car, and add to the creepiness, someone came out of the bushes and also got in the car. They left, and a few minutes after that, I turned on my van and drove the opposite direction they went. Safe to say that I never slept in another rest area that didn't have at least another couple cars parked there. I don't know what those people wanted, but with Australia's history of backpack serial killers, I'm very happy to be here today. Yikes. That's terrifying. There is bacon-flavored whiskey. Bacon is the king of food. Yeah, I really like that they have vegan bacon too. And it tastes exactly the same. Rum and Coke got me through my sociology class. I like rum and Coke now more as an older adult. I like it now. When I was younger, I didn't like it that much. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was like the mix of the pop with the rum. I don't know. Yeah, it does make my face. I do have Asian in me, as I found out from my ancestry. I have Asian and African. Yeah, I do. So why is that a thing though? I didn't know that. That's the thing though, is I had so much like RIP AGP. What's that mean? In Australia, if the people don't get you, the critters will. You have to be a badass to live in Australia. That's for sure. That's crazy. Also, hats off to you Australians. Rum and Coke are the best. Loved it since I was. I will not incriminate myself here. No one cares now. First time I got drunk with my friends at a bar, I was 19. But it was like a place in the country where everybody knew you're going to get in there anyway. Plus, with girls, it's kind of like harder to know who's what age. And back then, it was like they just wanted somebody to buy their liquor, you know? Welcome to the fold. Angry Grandpa died? Did he just die? But I mean, what does it mean is that just a trait that's known to Asians? I thought it also you might have an allergy to alcohol. Getting the red face is a genetic adaptation with Asians managing the alcohol. Huh. Good to know. Yeah, it's really obvious with me too. Yep. I'm more Irish than I am Asian. So it doesn't really specify. It just says Asian too. So I don't know what Asian. But it's not enough to be like an obvious thing, but I don't know it. Bill Clinton's nose. Yeah, my whole face. Actually, just like the cheeks, my lips seem to get poofy too. But the cheeks and then my eyes get glassy and I can't stop laughing. Oh man. I've tried to stream drinking and I think it's not as entertaining because I get too distracted. I'm 82.02 Irish, British and Irish. I'm like what my grandma called an English mutt. Is that what it is? Like it's just it's so much of like Irish and English and all that. So like 50% of all that. And then there's like things broken down. And then the two things that stand out below that are the Asian and the African. And then the American Indian doesn't show up at all. So I was talking about that before, but oh, that was pretty smart, Biznich. That was pretty smart. But the place I went was so divey, it didn't even have a stamp. uh, all right. I don't know what number we're on of stories here. If you just joined us, if my voice cuts out, it's because the weather here is messing with me, so it's unavoidable. This one is titled The Death Premonition. My grandmother swore by this story till her dying day. It was during the war in London. My dad was a baby. She was bombed out of her house and staying with a friend. The friend had set her up in a room on the top floor. Anyway, she was taking my dad upstairs to bed when a figure materialized on the stairs, telling her not to sleep in that room tonight. Well, she noped, and everyone hates that word, back down the stairs and told her friend that she and my dad, which was her baby infant son at the time, were sleeping in the sitting room that night. Her friend was annoyed but agreed. That night, a bomb exploded near the house, and the roof caved in, right on top of my dad's cot. He would have been killed. Ooh, that's a cool story. That's not scary. That's awesome. I want to know if anyone has had a premonition of someone come back and tell them like lottery numbers and then they won the lottery. Maybe they didn't win $1 million, but maybe like I want to hear stories about that. Dum dum dum. All right. Next. This one's called Shush. I had awesome parents who let me sleep in the living room on weekend nights. And when I was very young, because my sister was a light sleeper and I could stay up till dawn. But of course, I always end up sleeping on the couch because Nick at night made me tired. Anyways, one night I wake up to the prickly feeling, like an instinct, just bolted into a sitting position and stared out of the front window. We live in rural Georgia, so you can imagine the magnitude of trees. In perfect light cast from the moon, I see a silhouette of someone in this fucking tree. The family dog dashes to the window and is snarling into the glass. Terrified, I run into my parents' room and try to explain to my parents that there's a strange person outside. Dad grabs something defensive and darts outside with the dogs to beat the wax off the hothead. I tremble in Mama's arms until Dad comes home and says he saw no one and to go to bed. I decide to sleep in my regular bedroom, filling my sister as to what happened. Dad is making regular rounds in the house with a cup of coffee. We're all still, and I can finally think. And I'm sorry, and I think I can finally sleep. Nope. Then I notice the man outside my window. From what I can see in the moonlight, he gives me a shh signal and runs away. Just turns around to run a straight line away. I couldn't stop crying for what felt like hours. I don't know. I'm that crazy kid that probably would have opened my bedroom window and started chucking stuff at him. Oh. Yeah, Balmanoff. Must have been nice. I'm the only girl for 2 generations, 4 uncles, 4 brothers. I have 4 sisters. Wow. Here in Texas, you have to have a license to drink in a bar. Huh. Which is ironic since you're not supposed to drink and drive. Don't you find that ironic? There should be no parking lots and bars, like whatever. Everybody drinks here in England. Oh yeah. And you can drink. Is there even a drinking age? Like, can you just drink whenever you want? As long as your parents are cool with it. There's not like a really like a legal drinking age. You just can't be like drunk and disorderly in public, right? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll come back. Handprints. I swear I just read this. Or it's just similar to something. So when I was a child, I lived in an old Victorian house, and I would always hear laughing while I was trying to sleep. I was an only child with a single mother, and when I was about 5 or 6, I would wake up hearing laughter in the hallway in the middle of the night. After mentioning this to my mom, she swore it was probably just the TV being left on late. One night, I awoke to hearing the laughter in my room. I went to sit up, but felt like there was someone holding my shoulders down, invisible hands gripping onto my shoulders while I heard laughing. I screamed my little heart out. My mom ran into my room, flicking on the bedside lamp, convincing me it was just a dream, until I said, "But my shoulders hurt." She lifted up my t-shirt, and there were 2 adult-sized handprints on my shoulders. I honestly thought I had imagined it, and that it had never happened. But the other day I mentioned it in passing to my mom, and she went blanket white and said, "I don't want to remember that." Wow. Yikes. Checking the chat. Yeah, I feel like everything you say with an English accent sounds better. Like, I've got to take a shit. Doesn't that even sound better than English? Like American English? Yeah. In New York, as long as your parents are cool that you can drink in their house. Well, that's everywhere, dude. Except for some people can get in trouble. Like if someone decides to call CPS on you, I think you're screwed. But not a driver's license, a bar license. Oh. You walk to a restaurant at 16 and order a beer. Wow. Want to go on the piss tonight? Uncle. Oh, you meant to say that with an English accent. Only 2 likes. What do you mean? I see 6 likes, but whatever. Whatever. I have no expectations when I do a live stream. I never know what's going to happen. Half the time, I never know what's going to come out of my mouth because I trail off, as you all know, onto some other subject that pops into my head while I'm talking. And I've learned to just go with it. It drives some people crazy. But by now, if anyone that knows me that doesn't like that about me, they can fuck off. Anyways, this one is called Scratching. About 2 years ago, I was driving home from a family reunion pretty late at night, and the drive was about 2 hours. I didn't stay the night. Huh? Oh, I didn't stay the night because I had to be back for work the following day. Most of the drive was on roads with dense bushes and trees on either side. The real creepy ones you see a lot in movies. Anyway, I had been driving for about 45 minutes, and I was starting to get really tired. You know how sometimes you just suddenly become really tired out of nowhere? Well, that happened to me. And I knew I wasn't going to last. But I didn't come across any place that I felt I could park and safely sleep. After it became clear to me that I wasn't going to find a place to pull up and my tiredness wasn't going away, I did something very questionable. I pulled over to the side of the road onto the grass behind some bushes to try and hide my car from anybody else who was going to try to come past. The roads weren't empty. I came across another car every few minutes or so. I made a mental note that the time was 11:22 and fell fast asleep. Sometime later, I was awoken by a scratching sound. I look at the clock. 11:50. The sound stopped after a few seconds, and because I was still extremely tired, I didn't bother looking around and simply went back to sleep. I was later awoken by the same sound, and it was now 12:40. This time, it really freaked me out because the sound didn't stop. The thought ran across my mind that it was just an animal inspecting the car. But why would it return almost an hour after it had left the previous time? I look in my rear view mirror and just manage to catch a glimpse of something running away into the forest. Now, at the time, I thought it was the damn hook killer, the one that scratched a couple's car and then slaughtered the guy when he got out to investigate. Fuck that, I thought to myself. So I got the hell out of there. There was a bend no more than 100 yards up the road, and as I came around it, there was a fucking car parked off to the side of the road with the driver's side door opened. I slowed down just to look to see if anyone was in there. There wasn't. Then I looked in my rearview mirror. Didn't see anything. And all of a sudden, this guy comes sprinting around the corner. Starts screaming at me, shouting stuff like, hey, you, get the fuck out of your car now. I got the fuck out of there and sped off and never saw the guy again. So these are like stuff that almost happened like the other ones. So these are like closer to dying. So, yeah. Okay. People keep like coming and then leaving the stream. So sorry, I'm not entertaining enough. I feel like if you guys could see my facial expressions, you wouldn't be scared anymore while I read these stories. All right, let's see. This one on this page is really, really short. It just says someone's in your apartment. I was sleeping, and then in the middle of a dream, a character in my dream who was doing something turned her head, looked at me very seriously, and said, "There's someone in your apartment. Wake up." I nearly had a goddamn heart attack, and my apartment was empty. Yikes. Now that's scary. It would be scarier if there's actually like someone in there. Well, there was 18 people watching, now 14, then it went down to 13. So I don't know if people keep like coming and leaving. Oh, you got booted. What the heck? How do you get booted from here? YouTube's trying to bring me down, man. All right. This one's just titled The Phone Call. So this happened to me last summer when I was back at my parents' house during the holidays. It was around 3 a.m. and I was in my room on my computer when I got a call from my sister. Now, that was already a little bit weird since my sister's room was just down the hallway from mine, and she could have just came in my room. I went to pick up and the call ended as soon as I reached the phone. I figured that she just wanted to speak with me, so I got up and went to her room. As soon as I reached her door, she started screaming that someone was in the room with her, so I busted in, and of course, nobody was there. After she stopped crying, she told me that she woke up and saw a dark shadow just centimeters from her face, and that's when she screamed. So I told her that she called me, and she told me that her phone isn't even in her room, and that she was sleeping. Sure enough, her phone was actually downstairs in her purse. The weird part is that I have a log of her call on my phone, but she doesn't. Never managed to explain this one. Ooh, I love the paranormal ones. I don't know about you guys, but I love the paranormal ones. Love them. Doing laundry in the basement. Wi-Fi gets spotty. Oh, yeah. I'll never leave. No basement stories? Yeah, my basement's one of those things where it's one of the places I always feel something when I'm walking up the stairs. It starts like at the third step. It doesn't happen right away, but at about the third step I always feel like there's something, not always. Probably about 75% of the time feels like there's something right behind me, so I'll turn around. Of course, there's nothing there. Yeah. The garage is another spot. I was going to actually do the EVP session in my garage. So it always feels like there's something, even in the day, feels that way. So I don't know if I'm gonna or not. I don't want to escalate anything. I'm still questioning it because after I posted that video yesterday, I had a hard time going to sleep because I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I amped it up or something. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but mannequins, ooh, yeah. Mannequins are awful. I don't have any mannequins in the basement. No. Oh my goodness. No. But I did scare the shit out of my stepson because his bedroom is on the other side of the laundry room. I don't know if you guys have heard this or not, but he had a tendency to like stand around corners and thinks it's funny to scare everybody. So I took my daughter's graduation gown. So we had this microphone stand. It's upstairs now, but we had this microphone stand and I opened up his bedroom door and put the microphone stand in the doorway and I hung the graduation gown on it and then I stuck a baseball cap on the top of it. So it kind of looked like, picture someone like an ominous person looking straight down, but then had their arms raised up, not the whole arm, just like bended L's, like bended at the elbow, but with the arms raised up. That's what it looked like. So the whole evening had went by when I did this, and I totally forgot about it. And then he was headed downstairs, and I told my husband, I'm like, man, I don't remember if he's went downstairs to like put anything away in his room yet since he's been home. So I went to listen, and I hear him like casually walking to his room, and then I hear, oh my god, oh my god, and I hear fumbling, falling, crawling, holy shit, and then he falls into the wall and made a hole in the drywall, and he had this huge glass of it was cranberry grape juice, and flung it all over the laundry room. So that was fun to clean that up. But I scared him more than I ever even imagined I would have scared him. And it's funny to talk about now, but like we still like have yeah, it was a lot. Let's see. Hey, Element. Bismitch says, my husband has threatened to buy one as a mannequin. Oh, that's mean. You're at work on lunch. Thank you for joining us. Evil Center, my grandmother got a call from my phone at 3 a.m., but my phone was turned off so it could charge. You ever think that maybe there's like cell phone lines that cross and accidentally do stuff like that? I was on speakerphone with my husband earlier, and it sounded like someone whispered into the phone, and I asked him what he said, and he said he didn't say anything. He thought I said something. And something somewhere had whispered into the phone. So I'm telling you, I hope I didn't like elevate activity. And it seems like it's just pointed at me. My husband never experiences anything, so he probably thinks I'm crazy, and he knows that I feel stuff. But if you could meet any celebrity, who would it be? I don't know. It changes all the time. This is going to sound super dorky, but I really like the Property Brothers. I don't have an elevated sense of celebrities, if that makes sense to you. I'm pretty aware of the fact that they're just people and that's their job. So I'm not like over the moon for any celebrities. I really like Ryan Reynolds. We just watched Deadpool 2 this past weekend, or Thursday. I think it was Thursday we watched it. It was so funny. He's really smart. I'd like to meet him because he's funny. Matthew 7, hello. Cool coincidence at 5:11. It's 5:11 a.m. And same time last year, this stream came up. I'm same camp spot right at the bottom of Australia, Tasmania, freezing. Are you serious? I did a stream last year on the same day. Are you kidding? No way. That's crazy. Schmeister says you saw me. If you give me oh yeah, I already said that. That's cool. I want one. Bill Murray. Oh yeah, Bill Murray. Oh my god, yes. He's hilarious. Who's Jordan Peterson? I should know who that is, right? Wow. You still live in Australia? That's crazy. Galactic alignment. Whoa. I should know who Jordan Peterson is. I'm sorry, I'm a ding dong. Back to the stories. I don't know if I've heard this, and I don't know if you guys have either, but it seems like it's going to be something like that. So this is titled Always Bring Someone When Looking at a Room for Rent. So back in my younger days when I was still living with roommates, I had what turned out to be one of the most obvious of dangerous encounters. I was looking to move and I was about to leave to see a place in the perfect location, good price, two seemingly professional male roomies. At the last minute, my boyfriend suggests he go along because the place is nearby and they'll have to meet him at some point anyway. So we get there and I introduce myself, and the one roommate seems a little taken aback at the fact that I had someone with me. I suppose it could be seen as unusual to bring your boyfriend, but I figured, oh well, the damage has already been done. If they don't allow me to be their roommate simply because he's with me, I can't do anything about it now. Let's just see the place. Well, the apartment is huge. We're both suitably impressed until we turn the corner of the living room and see it. We see a 2-camera setup with a light pointed at the couch. There's a guy sitting on the couch that is introduced as the other roommate. He jumps off the couch and gives my boyfriend the same weird look. I now realize the look they were giving was disappointment. I shoot my boyfriend a very quick look of understanding, but we silently decide to continue with the tour, so as to not escalate the situation. I casually joke that it's nice they have a camera so I can videotape myself for auditions. They both laugh much too hard and say, yes, that's what we were doing. He brings us over to my room, and it's literally a broom closet. You wouldn't even be able to fit a single-sized bed in there. It's now patently obvious that there was never a room for rent in the first place. I take this opportunity to get out of there by saying, oh, that's too bad. I have a queen bed. It won't be able to fit. Thanks for your time. We get out of the street, walk around the corner without saying a word. When we finally look at each other, it's in this stunned silence. He just hugged me really tight and we went for a walk in the park. Yeah. Yikes. What? Oh no. Is it buffering? What about Bob? Yes. You Googled Cockle Creek. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Wow. My idol was Stephen Hawking, but he died a few months ago. Death therapy. The first recording said, I see you. Then it came back and called me a nerd. Yeah, that's what we were doing when, oh, you've remembered it. So if you guys didn't know, we were doing an EVP session in an apartment that we lived in before we bought our house. But it was like years before we moved. And we were going to like make funny noises. Like we were doing like creepy laughs to make ringtones for our phones. So we decided to just, I think we weren't even trying to do EVPs. I think we were just recording the air. Or like, oh, he played it back and you could hear, nerd. Like you could hear it say that into his phone, which was like the funniest thing ever. Oh my gosh. The 11 true stories you did a week ago was the best. Was it? I'll have to go back and listen. I never know what people are going to like. I swear to God. And you had heard that one before. He's one of the few famous people who died that I felt sad about. I just watched a comedian talking about Stephen Hawking's, and he said he watched the movie. I can't remember the name of the movie. But anyway, the guy was watching the movie, and it's when Stephen Hawking, before his disease or his illness took over his life, his physical abilities, I'll say that, because his mental capabilities were more than there forever and ever. But it's the beginning of the movie and he's dancing and he's like, oh no, he doesn't know yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like he feels bad for the character who doesn't know he's going to become wheelchair bound. And he's like, I never knew that he had left his wife. He's like, what kind of like badass is like in a wheelchair and he needs like, I can do better. Like he's like picturing Stephen Hawking saying to his wife, I think I can do better than you. And then like asking her, can you open the door so I can leave you? And I just lost it because it was so mean, but it was so hilarious at the same time. Oh my God. Google Stephen Hawking's view on shadow people. No. Is it going to be bad? Let's see. Let's go to Google. Let's see what Google says. Stephen Hawking's. Is it Hawking? Yeah, Hawking. View on shadow people. I don't see it. Doesn't show. Yeah, let's see. The mystery of shadow people. I think that, yeah, it's often peripheral vision. Yeah, I'm sure it can often be mistaken as that. Stephen Walking as a savage. I mean Hawking? Or is that just like a bump? I felt the evil confession stories. Yeah, I think a lot of people like that. I know what you meant, Schmeister. Shadow self Carl Jung. Um um there was this one guy and girl I worked with forever ago, and they would take the grandma over like snacks or check on her, and she kept complaining about all these squirrels in her yard. She was standing at the kitchen window, and she'd be like, "There's another one." They'd look, and there wouldn't be one. And she's like, "I can't get those fucking squirrels out of my yard because she thought that they were a nuisance and they were going to cause a problem." And there was never any squirrel, never anything there. And it turned out that she just had cataracts, and it was making her see shadows. Oh, let's see. I met Kristen Scott Thomas, Robert Redford, Dan Reynolds, Lori Morgan, and Jim Brewer. Oh, Jim Brewer is hilarious. Oh my gosh. He's the longest living person recorded having ALS. Wow, yeah. Wow. Squirrel. Oh, really? Jim Carrey is awesome. He's smart. He's one of those people that's realized that money and fame isn't all it's cracked up to be. Okay, I don't know what happened here. I don't know if it like. Oh. Okay, so we have an option of a couple things. Maybe just one. We can either read Creepy History 9 Notorious Female Serial Killers or 7 Creepiest Moments in History that you probably haven't heard of. You want history or female serial killers? Do 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 boo. People are gonna tune out now because I squirreled myself right into a. You guys want female serial killers really quickly, or do you want history? What do you want? What do you want? History? Okay, let's do that. Boom. First one got it. Let's do that one. We're just gonna go right into that one. We're not even gonna hesitate. Going right into it. All right. Oh wow. This one is called This Disturbing Painting That Predicted Hitler in the Year He Was Born. It's still loading, so I can't really see it. Let me see if I can share it once it's actually loaded. Ridiculous. So slow. But apparently there is people say Jim Carrey is scary. He's just woke. Well, I think people are woke, but they're scared. I think lots of people are woke, but they know it's easier to just do what the masses want. It's hard work to make change. It's hard work to be the outsider. Most people just don't want it. History is now. History is a lie. History has both. History is, you've got to do your own research. If you just rely on a history book, you're only going to get a fraction of the truth. You've really got to go and do your own research. So this is basically just this weird looking painting, and it looks like the face of Hitler with a red cloak on a horse, and there's wild dogs and rabid people all around him. And it's supposedly, okay, so In 1889, prolific painter Franz von Stuck created a harrowing piece that depicts German god Wotan leading a procession of the dead. Between the look of anguish on the faces of the damned and the soulless eyes of Wotan, the painting is not exactly something one would hang in their living room. But here's the really creepy part. It was painted the year Adolf Hitler was born, and it was said to be one of Hitler's favorite paintings. And let's not beat around the bush here. It looked exactly like Hitler. Okay, so I'm going to show you the painting here. Just a second here. Share it with you. I'll just share them as they come up. So if you're on a phone, you probably won't be able to see it, but you can look at it later and see this weird painting. Let's leave it up for a second here so you can see it. You can see his, let me see his little mustache? Doop. And his short hair. I don't know. Did Hitler ever ride horses? Anybody know? Another thing about the painting is that Wotan was not a very nice god. In fact, ow, hit my hand on my desk, pinched my finger. Oh, in fact, he was a god of war, and upon his awakening, legends said he would do basically just what's depicted in the painting. He would essentially lead a march of the dead through Germany. Sound familiar? Carl Jung even likened Hitler to Wotan's avatar. And as early as 1936, theorized that Wotan had awoken and resided not only in Hitler, but the German people as a whole. That's what makes the painting and its backstory so unsettling. Did Franz von Stuck know what he was creating? Or was it just a bizarre coincidence? Or is history already written long before we have a chance to recognize it? I think that the future can change every millisecond. If you go left, you have a certain future. If you go right, you have a certain future. And then you have many turns when you go either way. So, there's another one up here. Let's check the chat. History is now. Oh, I see it buffering. Oh, okay. So it was back in the 80s when he was married to his first wife. My mother-in-law said he was very witty and intelligent. Yeah. There's a guy in Guatemala claiming to be Hitler. Same age, even wrote 2 books about it. I'm a philosophy student and retired at age 29. Wow. Only in Australia. Same age, 140. No, there's a whole series on the History Channel that thinks that Hitler's alive. There's a whole group of people that think he's alive. I think that if he escaped, I don't think he's alive. But people want to know if he's alive because he'd definitely be prosecuted. But yeah. Anyway, Hitler was afraid of horses. Wow, that's good to know. Yeah, that's another reason why. And they found a bunch of ways for him to get out of the bunker as well. I think it's called Finding Hitler. Hitler's skull and mandible. Oh, the body or head jaw are in Moscow DNA confirmation. There's a massive volcano. How do they confirm it? How do they confirm that it was Hitler? Like, because nowadays you wouldn't confirm it because of family members. So if you don't have a family member of Hitler, how do you confirm genetics? I'm just curious. I'm not discrediting you, Matthew. I'm just wondering, how do you do it without other family members to compare the DNA to? It could be a German man, of course. Oh, his sister is alive? Finding Hitler gave me the wrong flashback. He has 14 cousins. Wow. Getting schooled by Matthew 7. Wow. There was a massive volcano eruption a few months before I was born. I guess that says enough. Oh my God. Yeah. Hopefully I'm not related. I don't even remember seeing German in my thing. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. Clothes, hats, etc. What? I'm on a different thing here. Okay. So, so you've either heard in your life or you wish you'd never heard of him because let's get the boring stuff out of the way. That's what the article says. Anyway, he was a member of the Pennsylvania State Senate and most notably the 30th Treasurer of Pennsylvania. But something went wrong. In the early 80s, the state discovered its employees had overpaid federal taxes due to errors in withholding. Accounting firms lost their shit competing for the multi-million-dollar contract to fix the mess. Supposedly, Dwyer had received a bribe from a firm in California who wanted the contract. He maintained his innocence, but he was convicted and scheduled to be sentenced on those charges on January 23rd, 1987. Which leads us to January 22nd, 1987. Dwyer called a press conference the day before his sentencing, and the media went nuts, assuming he was going to resign from office. If you don't know where this is going, I'm sorry in advance. It's bad. Reporters showed up in droves ready to get the top story. Dwyer began reading what people described as a rambling polemic about the criminal justice system, where he speculated on his sentencing, which was a maximum of 55 years in prison and a $300,000 fine. He restated that he was innocent and hadn't participated in any illegal activities. Then he stopped reading from his prepared text, leaving out the last page, which contained the true reasons for his press conference, and began handing out envelopes to his staffers. Those in attendance immediately began pleading with him to put the gun down. Dwyer tried to continue his speech. Oh no. So that done, he produced from his own manila envelope a blue Smith & Wesson Model 27 revolver. Dwyer told the crowd, please leave the room if this will affect you. Those in attendance immediately began pleading with him to put the gun down. Dwyer tried to continue his speech, but kept the people trying to approach him at bay, telling them, don't, this will hurt someone. After only about 15 seconds, Dwyer put the gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger, committing suicide in front of a lively midday television audience. He died instantly. In the unread page of his prepared text, Dwyer stated his suicide was meant to be a sacrifice to encourage the development of a true justice system here in the United States. Many years later, the main witness in his trial admitted to lying under oath about Dwyer taking the bribe, effectively clearing his name, but far too late. Oh no. That's terrible. I wonder if you can charge someone with that. Like, obviously they didn't kill him, but they led to his demise, and they were going to have him locked up. So I think there needs to be a lot more to that story right there. Yeah, he killed himself in front of everyone. Thank you, Mathew 7. Smart people are considered insane by those who can't understand them. And I've had that conversation many times during a live stream. And a lot of times at the ends of my stories, I always add a paragraph before and after when I'm reading stories like this when I record them. And always in my Serial Killer Saturdays. But I believe that you always walk the line between insanity and genius. And you know, it's those that slip over the edge that end up locked away. And there's probably brilliant ramblings of people that would help solve many crises if they were only listened to. Yeah, in front of his inner circle, but it was caught on camera. So, right. If Hitler was a genius, he doesn't mean he's a, yep. Hitler killed himself in a concrete bunker with cyanide. You can YouTube this video of this story. Yeah, I've seen that too. Timothy McVeigh, aka the Unabomber, and Ted Bundy were both extremely intelligent. You know, people say, hey, Kahlest, people say that all the time about people that are killers, about how intelligent they are. I don't know. I don't consider just book smarts at a genius level. I think it's those that understand things outside and combined with both that make them genius. Because you can give many, many smart people that are fully capable of doing things beyond the average person's scope. You can give them an intelligence test and they're not going to pass it and they're not going to do well because that has to do with reading and book smarts. And there's something outside of that realm that's underappreciated. And there's, as well as I do, that there are plenty of blooming idiots that have high ranks and degrees on their walls that are just seemingly intelligent. Our intelligence scale needs to be readjusted. Yes. Wisdom seems to be lacking. Bad and hurt guy. Cyanide was in his mouth, but the bullet stopped his heart prior to cyanide taking. Extremely challenged serial killers are not caught. I think that there's many that are extremely intelligent that get caught because they're tired or they have a crumb of consciousness or they want that element of fame that comes with getting caught because they're that narcissistic. They really want that fame that comes with it. Once Ted Bundy was actually locked in a cell, he escaped by walking out the front door. You're not smart if you get caught. This is where the whole nature versus nurture comes in. And that's Biznitch. That's exactly what I talk about in my serial killer Saturdays. What is it that makes that one person become a serial killer and someone else not? Like Albert Fish was the youngest of 9. How did none of the other siblings? That's not to say that they didn't hurt animals or try to hurt people. There's just nothing about them. You can't find anything about them because all the focus is on Albert. I was just reading something about a killer that they wanted his brain donated to science to try and figure him out. But I think that I wonder if the brain matter changes once the person has not killed in a while. Like if you hooked up what's it called when you get a brain scan? What is it called? When you can see it. If they had them talk about their crimes and watch their brain activity during it, I think that would be a huge clue. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, but there's some serial killers that don't want the attention. They just have this innate need and desire to kill. So if there was one true reason why people became serial killers and we figured it out, we could stop them. Dee Dee, you're kind of smart. Should we all be worried? Ha ha ha. No. I get mad, but I don't. I have a deep respect for life. I think every ounce of living something deserves a chance. I've tried to get spiders outside, but if they try to jump at me, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm probably going to smash them out of just like impulse, but everything's always trying to, just get from one place to another. So I don't know. No. All right. Next here. So we did what, 2 or 3? Oh boy. David Parker Ray's reign as the toy box killer. So you guys have probably heard this. There's a sign on this thing that says Satan's Den, and I'll just share this picture with you guys so you can see it really quickly. Once I share it, then you'll know what I'm talking about. The top is the trailer. That's the creepy dude, and there's a little sign there at the bottom where it says Satan's Den. We can read it together if you want to, but yeah, I'll just leave it on there for a minute so you guys can see it. If you're not on a desktop, you're not going to see it anyway, but yeah, yikes. So I'll stop sharing that for a second. So considering how truly and utterly insane this guy was, I'm surprised he's not one of the more well-known serial killers. It may be due to the one simple fact that David Parker Ray has a total confirmed victim count of 0, but he's suspected to have taken part in the sexual torture and murder of between 14 to 60 women. His victims woke up in an old mobile home that Ray spent $100,000 customizing into his very own torture chamber, which he fondly called his toy box. It was stocked with what he called his friends: whips, chains, straps, clamps, surgical blades, and a homemade electric device he used for some really awful purposes. It's bad enough that there's one guy who was willing to do these things to innocent women, but get this, Ray had at least two other accomplices. One was his own daughter. You can find the transcripts online to the tapes he played for his captives that laid out the rules for their stay, but I warn you, they're extremely disturbing. And here's a little taste of the first thing his victims heard upon waking up in hell. Hello there, bitch. Are you comfortable right now? I doubt it. Well, that's where it's just like one sentence, but it's enough. Just the fact that he owned that stuff would be incriminating enough, I would think, right? I've had one piece of art submitted, and I think 3 stories now. So it's gonna be kind of easy to pick a winner, isn't it? I don't know. I sleep with about 20 tarantulas and scorpions every night. Yikes, I live in Australia. Snakes and spiders are the norm. Their scuttling is like ASMR to me. Oh, wow. I like to sleep with my banana boa constrictor because I trust him. Guess they love the warmth, especially at night. Damn that opening line. Yeah, yikes. Wow, that's scary. All right. I think this is 4. Okay, so I'm going to show you this picture of June and Jennifer Gibbons, the silent twins. Now, I've heard of these girls before, but I'm not 100% sure what we're going to read. So if you've heard of it before, don't ruin it for everybody in the chat. Just kidding. You can if you want to. 2 little girls. They look innocent enough. I have no idea what we're going to view in a second here. I get a good look at them before I stop sharing. All right. Because if you're on a mobile device, you probably can't see it anyway. So here's a great example how a little online sleuthing can really inspire an author. After stumbling upon June and Jennifer Gibbons, I immediately wrote a piece about my own pair of spooky twins. While my story is fictional, the story of the silent twins isn't, and it's just as eerie, with a mysterious, tragic end. June and Jennifer Gibbons were both born in Barbados and moved with their parents to Wales after their birth. Life was hard for the daughters of the Caribbean immigrants. They were the only black children in their community, not popular in school, and spoke so quickly that it was hard for anyone outside their family to understand what they were saying. After being bullied and ostracized, their language became even more difficult to interpret, and eventually became completely unintelligible. The twins began to speak only to each other and their younger sister. Therapy didn't work, and sending them to boarding school caused them to go completely catatonic when separated. As many children who don't fit in tend to do, the twins often find an outlet through creative writing. Oh, the twins found an outlet between. Okay. Their stories were usually set in the United States and revolved around young men and women exhibiting strange criminal behavior. They penned a few novels and tried selling their pieces to magazines without success. So, understandably, they turned to a glamorous life of crime. Who wouldn't? That's sarcasm, in case you didn't know. After being charged with a number of illegal activities, including arson, they were committed to Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security insane asylum. They remained there for 14 years, silent and despondent. Sad, yes, but not really all that creepy, right? Well, according to journalist Marjorie Wallace, the twins had a long-standing agreement that if one died, the other was supposed to get their shit together and start living a normal life. During their years in the mental hospital, they became obsessed with the idea that one of them had to die in order for the other twin to speak again. Like a champ, Jennifer decided to be the sacrifice. In March of 1993, they were transferred to a clinic with less security. Upon arriving, Jennifer didn't wake up. She was rushed to the hospital and died soon after of acute myocarditis, a sudden inflammation of the heart. Doctors were stumped. There was no evidence of drugs or poison in her system, and she'd never had heart problems before. Weird, right? And guess what? June did get her shit together. No longer committed to a mental institution, she lives a quiet life near her parents and was even quoted as saying, "I'm free at last, liberated, and at last Jennifer has given up her life for me." So basically, Jennifer took one for the team, literally. What has your sister done for you lately? Huh. Wow. I mean, wow. I've heard of kids just fighting over borrowing clothes, but damn. Don't trust children. Element said it anyway. People love it. I love it. Brand new desert scorpion. Maybe I should name it after Duchess. Maybe, but I mean, as long as it's like badass, but only hurts evil people. And don't say I inspired you to let a scorpion hurt someone, because that's not cool. All right, as long as we're cool on the rules. Take care, everybody, and milk every day for what it's worth. Thank you for coming, Matthew. Almost all the widows in UK are immigrants, not trying to be racist. I'm an immigrant myself, but it's real. See you, Matthew. Okay. I think we've only got a couple more here, and then we're gonna call it quits. There's another picture to show you guys. It's a train wreck that killed over 100 circus performers, but it's just like a picture of the headstones. I don't think I've heard of this before. Maybe you guys have. I'll share it with you here. Just a second. So you can see it. Showman's Rest in Memory. So they just made like looks like they made a park out of it, but we'll know in a second here. So you guys get just a second of view of this. There's an elephant. It's a memorial, it looks like. Okay. Now everyone's got to look at it. I'll admit I don't fall into the category of people creeped out by clowns. I mean, sure, I don't want to murder me or anything, but I just don't have the visceral reaction to clowns that a lot of other people do. Yeah, I don't either. In fact, had a bunch of oil paintings of clowns in my house as I was growing up that my mother painted. Moving on to the story. No squirrel. However, the idea of a catastrophic train wreck where massive numbers of circus performers were mutilated beyond recognition, yeah, that's a visual to keep me up at night. So early in the morning of June 22nd, 1918, Alonzo Sargent was operating a Michigan Central Railroad train with 20 empty cars. He'd been following close behind a circus train going considerably slower, and whoopsie-doodle, fell asleep at the wheel. Trains have wheels, there's a control panel, whatever. Anyway, the 26-car circus train had stopped to check a hot box, but Sargent was taking a nap. So his train plowed into the caboose, and 4 rear sleeping cars at an estimated 35 miles per hour. Most of the 104 dead were killed in less than a minute after collision. Then the wreck burst into flames. Many of the bodies couldn't be identified due to the severity of the injuries, so most casualties were marked as unknown male or unknown female. In case that's not creepy enough, you've also got graves marked Smiley and Baldy, plus the confirmed deaths of the great Dirks brothers, a strongman duo, Jenny Ward Todd of the Flying Wards. If you're interested, you can visit the Showman's Rest in Forest Park, Illinois. A historic tragedy, sure, but there's just something undeniably haunting about the idea of an early 20th century circus wandering the train tracks at night, searching for the final performance that will never come. That's just sad to me because if you think about how rough life was at that time, and then to be a circus performer, in addition to that, wow, how far behind is this thing? I'm gonna have to like get up to speed here. There we go. Now we should be up. Harry Rods. Oh, see ya, Element. Here's your voice. Warm me up. How about this? Feel better? All right. We're on the last set of stories here. It was 7 creepy moments in history that you probably haven't heard of. And I think this might be the second to last one. We've already read 17 other stories before that. So let's see. This says Tara Calico and the Mysterious Polaroid. I don't see a picture yet, so I don't know where the picture is, but I don't see one. Okay, so anyway, on September 20th, 1988, 19-year-old Tara Calico went on a morning bike ride in her hometown of Belen, New Mexico. She never came back. Almost a year later, on June 15th, 1989, a Polaroid photo was found in the parking lot of a convenience store in Port St. Joe, Florida. The photo showed of an unidentified young woman and an unidentified boy, both gagged and bound. There was speculation on the identity of the boy that eventually fell through, leaving who he was a mystery. But Tara's mother insists the woman in the photo is her daughter. There's a definite resemblance, but the biggest clues were a scar on her leg, similar to one Tara had gotten in a car accident, and the V.C. Andrews book in the photo, which happened to be one of Tara's favorite books. Scotland Yard says that it is her. The Los Alamos National Laboratory says it isn't. The FBI has no friggin' clue. And to make matters even more insidious, 2 more Polaroid photographs that are similar to the one that had surfaced since her disappearance, but they have yet to be shown to the public. Nearly 27 years later, no one even has a close idea about what happened to Tara Calico, if she's still alive, or who the boy was with her in the photograph. Wow. I've never heard of that one. Maybe I have. It does sound a little bit familiar, but not that. Are you leaving too? Wow. Wow. That's awful. The guy didn't see the train because he fell asleep. There was another train behind him. The circus train had another train behind it that was empty, and the guy fell asleep that was driving that train and ran into them. And then it caught on fire. Yeah. Whoa, this one's horrible. Okay, so this must be the last one here. And it's simply titled 20,000 Orphan Children Who Became Mental Patients Thanks to the Canadian Government. That doesn't sound like the Canadian government. That sounds like something the US would do. But anyway, I'll be totally honest here. I didn't find this one online on my own. I heard about it from the movie Tusk and looked it up, so it sort of counts. Anyway, in the 1950s, the premier of Quebec was Maurice Duplessis, and he was a super staunch Catholic. He decided that the church should be the sole caretaker of the poor, alcoholics, orphans, and unwed mothers. Good idea in theory, right? Duplessis said he trusted them completely and signed over responsibility of schools, orphanages, and hospitals to the Catholic Church. Well, there were a few problems with that plan. A lot of orphans were actually born to parents who weren't married, but the church didn't approve, so they were sent away. So not only were the orphanages fuller than they should have been, but the Quebec government didn't get enough money to subsidize orphanages. They did a little math and found out they were getting $1.25 a day for orphans, but $2.75 a day for psychiatric patients. Here's where it gets really screwed up. There was an old law called Le Sur l'Asile. Oh my gosh. Anyways, it's called the Lunatic Asylum Act that said you could commit someone to an insane asylum for 3 reasons: to care for them, to help them, or a security measure to maintain social order. So the idea of social order not being directly defined translated into 20,000 orphans being deemed mentally deficient. Suddenly, there were a lot less orphans and a hell of a lot more psychiatric patients. Weird how that worked out. These kids were subjected to abhorrent treatment, including sexual, mental, and physical abuse, all for a little extra cash. Not to mention the drug testing and medical experience because, they were mentally deficient, so I guess that's a good excuse. The 1960s ushered in the end of the asylum era, but by then the damage was done for most of the former mental patients. About 78% of the orphans from this time period reported difficulty in maintaining a normal, healthy adult existence. They dubbed themselves Duplessis orphans. For Maurice Duplessis, whose poor decisions they felt ruined countless lives. As of today, the Catholic Church has refused to apologize. Well, that was the last one of that one, but the Catholic Church has just got themselves into a new one. So whoever's Catholic here is going to be pissed at me, but yeah. I'd ride or die squirrel fan. I stay until the end. When the video ends, yeah, I'm not sure they were mentally wishing they had no parents. Angel of Fallen Rainbows. Hello. You came right at the end, but when it's over, you can go back and listen to the beginning. Hopefully you'll be entertained. I scheduled it yesterday and then I tried to share it on everything. But I'm trying to live stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays is a little later in the day, and Thursday will probably be like 11:30 or noon my time. So I don't know if that's a good time for everybody or not, but I have to usually go get stepkids on Thursday afternoon, so kind of have to be out of here earlier than that. So hello, Angel of the Fallen Rainbows. Hello. All right, so on that end, there'll be another. Oh, you did? Okay, good. So hopefully you guys will be back on Thursday. I'll have a video for you tomorrow and on Saturday. And if anybody's a patron, make sure you check your messages on Patreon, please. Yeah, we'll talk about more on Thursday if anybody wants to, but I'm going to get off of here for now, and I'm going to thank you guys for coming and listening, and I hope you were entertained. I keep saying hi to you, Angel of the Fallen Rainbows, but yeah, no, I don't really have I don't know. I think we came up with the royal subjects, but that just didn't sound right to me. So, I mean, that makes it feel like, I don't ever feel like I'm above people, and it makes it sound like that. So, I don't know. The royal dudes and dudettes. That's about what mine looked like. Yeah. Yeah. It was entertaining, so I'm going to thank you guys for coming, and I will live stream with you guys again on Thursday. And until then, I hope you stay safe and entertained. Watch out for squirrels. And bye. Bye. Bye.